All right.
Here we are. And we're back on the podcast.
Subject to change. My name is Wolfgang.
My name is Daisy.
And we have several guests today.
We're very excited.
We have with us
Caroline.
Logan.
Andrew. Tanner.
That went so well.
Yeah, that was incredibly well. Yeah.
We're gonna do a bit of a further intro. We're gonna have everybody describe all the cars that they've owned and their favorite color.
Daisy, do you want to go first?
I'm gonna go first. My name's Daisy Wanless. I've owned for a brief moment a 1969 Plymouth Valiant, a 1996 Volkswagen Beetle, and a 2002 Impreza Subaru TS 2.5.
Whoa.
And my favorite color is blue.
Nice. My favorite color, Wolfgang. My favorite color is probably some kind of like a green. I don't know. It kind of fluctuates between like maybe it's a pastel, maybe it's a neon. I don't know. It's all how I'm feeling in the day. Yeah. And then my cars, I've also had that exact same 1969 Plymouth Valiant.
The very same.
I also had an Integra, the exact same one, right? Also.
No, we never shared that car. I just took my driving test in it, and it was in kilometers. And I definitely sped, and the guy never noticed.
Oh yeah, that's
it was
good.
awesome.
Yeah, very good. Canadian cars are great to get away with.
Yeah, definitely worth taking your car test in.
And then I got Celica, the 1990 Celica. Not very interesting. It looks kind of cool, and it's a convertible. Whatever. And then most recently, I got a 1990 Nissan Skyline GTST. So not the GTR, but it's still pretty sick. Yeah.
Caroline.
My name is Caroline. I've driven 3 cars. A 2001 Saturn that shit out after 6 weeks, piston froze. I've driven a 1990 B2200 Mazda pickup truck, which was also at the time the truck that most Mexican drug dealers were driving in Denver.
Nice.
And finally a 1990 Toyota Corolla 5-speed.
Beautiful.
Nice, yeah.
I'm Logan. I have a bit of a storied history with vehicles. I've owned 2 cars and lots more vehicles than that.
Go with this.
I have I purchased a 1949 Chevy. It was a Styleline Deluxe. That was my first car ever. It was an interesting choice. And I now own a 1997 Subaru Legacy GT wagon.
Excellent choice.
Also an interesting choice.
I'm Andrew. I have had a 1989 Toyota pickup, a 1997 Chevy Tahoe, a 97 Subaru Outback, ran like a stabbed rat. And currently I own a 1967 VW Beetle that's possibly faster than Wolfie's Skyline, and a 1998 Subaru Legacy. And my favorite color is color.
Yeah, wait, we forgot those.
Yeah.
I
Damn.
forgot my favorite color. Okay, so
Caroline, what's yours?
My favorite color is either gray or purple.
Beautiful.
either.
Logan?
Mine, I'll go with turquoise.
Nice.
Nice.
Tanner?
My name is Tanner, again, and my cars have been the same 1989 Toyota pickup that Andrew had. That was both of our first cars. And now I have a 1993 Subaru Legacy wagon that I've had for the last 6 years. Yeah, you've had that thing 6.5 years, dude.
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm going to go on something that 2 other people might want to jump in on. I've also owned 2 motorcycles, a 1982 Kawasaki KZ440 and a 2001 Kawasaki ZR7S. And my favorite color is probably some sort of earth tone. I don't really have a specific one.
Just any.
It's brown, basically.
I'm also going to hop in on that 05 Honda Rebel 250. It's actually 234, but I tell people 250 because it makes me feel better. Logan, go ahead.
Oh, no, finish your thing first.
No, that's it. That's the only motorcycle I've ever owned.
I also have had motorcycles, guys.
This is a
Leaving out
pre-show.
Wolfgang. I had a KE100, which I never got to ride it. I rode it home, and then it didn't work after I got it home, and then and then I broke it trying to fix it, and I sold it to my friend. Lost $700 in that trade. And then I also had a couple of mopeds, a Puka and a Minarelli.
moral of the story, Wolfie makes interesting choices.
Even more so interesting than Andrew's choices.
And by interesting, they mean bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just horrifically terrible. Logan, go ahead and hop in on that.
So I have also owned 2 motorcycles. Technically 3, I guess. So I started out on a 50cc scooter. That was my first vehicle ever.
That was fucking sweet.
It was a Honda Metropolitan.
Yeah.
I pulled so many bitches.
Yeah, literally, no,
so
Logan gave me a ride home on the back of it in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it was a 1-seater.
Yeah.
But it worked. It was fun. After that, I got my Yamaha V-Star 250. That was a 2012. The Honda was a 2003, by the way. And I put, oh boy, it must have been around 20,000 miles on that 250. I rode the ever-loving shit out of that thing. And I loved it, but I felt like it was time to move up. So I went ahead and skipped a few steps and went straight to 1,000 cc's. I got a 2003, again, Yamaha FZ1. And I'm currently riding that bike, and it is amazing.
That's all our motorcycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're just going to go ahead and hop right in. We have some trivia for you guys. And you guys are welcome to talk amongst yourselves and then come to Wolfie and I with a final answer. Okay? There's not really any award of any kind except for the satisfaction that you're smart and know a little bit about cars.
And I yell at people that lose.
And, yes. And Wolfie will fucking punch you in the face. Wolfie, go ahead.
All right, so the classic television series Starsky and Hutch, 1995 to 1979, or 1975 to 79, featured 2 streetwise cops, and they're red and white, blank.
Oh, okay, thank God. I thought he was just going to blow it right I was like, no, Wolfie, that's the wrong sentence.
Starsky and Hutch's car.
I'm a little rusty on this, but I want to say it's a Ford Torino. I know it's a Ford.
I would buy that. I would buy, yeah.
I like, hands down, it's a Ford. Oh, God. Is it a Maverick? Or was the Maverick only the Ford?
Maybe if we keep staring at them, they'll keep questioning their answers.
I would buy it with a Maverick.
It
looks like one.
Yeah, but I can't remember if the Maverick was 4-door only or not.
Obviously, he knows more about this than any of us do.
That's true, yeah. You're talking to walls here.
I feel like it was a 2-door.
You guys have a ringer.
Final answer? Anybody? Andrew, you're definitely the most confident.
Yeah. We vote with Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm with Ike, or whatever, however that goes. I don't know.
Down with the ship. Part of the ship, part of the crew here.
I don't know much about American history or cars.
Oh, God.
Impulse decision, go. 3, 2, 1.
Torino.
Nice,
Ooh,
very good.
nicely
1975
done.
Ford.
Yeah.
Grand
Grand
Torino.
I was so
Very
afraid
nice.
you were going to pick the wrong thing after saying it the right. Like, the right guess was the right. I was so afraid.
That's stressful.
That would've
Yeah.
been important.
No, that was right. Yep. A 1975 Ford Grand Torino.
Is it a Gran Torino?
Yeah.
Grand Torino.
Okay.
Gran. Missing the
Yes.
Gran.
It's
Yeah.
70s.
Gran. Yeah.
Bonsley.
All right. Now we're
So
moving on to
Gran.
our medium questions. That was the easy one. So you guys.
Yeah.
That's we have no idea how difficult they're actually gonna be. So
Yeah.
we just put with
These
them
haven't
at-
been field tested.
Yeah. How did the Ford Mustang get its name?
It's got to do something with the amount of horsepower it has and horses that are Mustangs.
Some kind of.
So it's called a pony car. I know that.
Well, the pony car
Pony
name
Express.
came after the Mustang. The
Okay.
pony car was like,
Yeah.
it was a description for smaller than like the big full-size American muscle cars like the Chevelles and the Chargers.
You guys are really fucking up.
Oh, God.
It's trying to make this look bad.
There's
Yeah.
part of me that's screaming it was like some kind of factory, like they went around asking their factory workers, and I think they had like a number of names written down. They actually had, I've seen pictures of them. They had badges made up, and they were like,
Like a vote?
yeah, it was like a vote thing. But they had one that was actually, coincidentally, the Cougar, which later became Mercury's version of the Mustang.
That was their
Um,
version of the Mustang?
Yeah, the Cougar.
Oh, no.
Look up
No.
Caroline, the 67 Cougar's a gorgeous car.
Yeah, it wasn't always shit.
I'm just going to trust you on that
All right,
one.
final answer. Andrew's
Logan
really
for-
shining.
yeah.
Factory vote, I'm saying.
Yeah. I
The-
really think it was like a factory, almost a survey.
It was actually John Najar. I don't know how to pronounce two J's in a row, but that's his name.
Not Yahar.
Nayar.
Yar.
Was the lead designer over at Ford and for like 40 years or something during that period, and he spearheaded the Ford Mustang and was a super big fan of the Mustang fighter planes.
Yeah, World War II
Yeah.
fighter planes.
Yeah.
Like,
So
named
how
after
did
those
I not
Mustangs.
think
Yeah.
of that?
Would not have
Yeah.
guessed that. That's pretty cool.
So what, next question, what car sold more than 1 million units in 1965, setting a record that still stands today?
I want to say the Mustang.
Beetle?
65.
65, yeah.
Is there any like description of the car? Because I know the Beetle sold over a
Yeah, do we
million
get
that year.
hints or anything?
I know the Mustang sold.
It's a sedan, isn't
It
it?
has 4 wheels.
It has an engine in it.
Well,
It has a
fuck.
windshield.
Allegedly has an engine. Yeah.
Allegedly. Well, that's not very helpful.
That's an American company.
Yes.
American company.
It's an American
Mm.
company.
I think that's probably what the record is about.
Yeah,
American company.
I'm guessing an American company
Well, 'cause
that
the Mustang
sold
came out in
American in America.
Yeah, the Mustang was 64, but
64 and a half.
64.5.
No, Camaro came around in 67. Oh God, it might.
I hate.
Do
What do you got for me, bro?
Do you want us to ease?
I'm
Dead air.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Mustang.
I'm guessing Mustang too. I think it ties into the last question because you guys think you're clever.
Wrong. We're not clever.
Damn
Idiot! We just stole these off the internet.
The first car, or the million record units car, is the
V.
Impala. Well,
I thought you were gonna come back.
I thought it was going to be a Chevrolet thing, but, you know, whatever.
Cut straight to the
Chevrolet.
Chevrolet. It's a Chevy Impala.
It
Yeah.
was a Chevy Impala.
Sold
What year was that?
That's pretty
1965.
That's a
Million.
less interesting.
Yeah.
I know, right? But that
That was
also.
a bitchin' car,
It
though.
makes it more interesting that it's
It was
less.
mean, it's
then.
not-
It
it's-
was then.
It's not a 6.4, but it's still a good looking
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. First Japanese car in the United States.
First?
Or I'm sorry, the first Japanese car to be produced in the United States.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
That changes it.
Ooh.
Whoa, saucy.
Oh my
Produced as
goodness.
Can you explain
built
that
or
further?
produced as in like,
At least assembled, I assume.
Yeah,
is what they mean.
assembled.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is what the
Gut.
again
Like
stolen off the
a
internet.
Toyota.
Yeah,
That shot is a fucking Honda Civic.
Gunshot?
Oh.
No, it's gonna be Toyota because Toyota was the first one to have a factory in the U.S.
Ooh,
Camry? Camry
I
would be
think
my
it's
guess.
Camry.
Yeah, that would be my
Really?
guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
dude, the
I would say
Camry-
Corolla.
I don't think it'd be a Corolla. Nobody gives a shit about Corollas.
Are you kidding me?
Dude,
Well, then again, Chevy Impala. Let's
That's a
not
personal
forget
bias,
the last one.
So the Corolla's the biggest seller worldwide, but the one that Americans buy
Yeah.
is the Camry
Because it's bigger.
because it's an car.
Yeah.
The
Well, but
Corolla
we're talking
gives
about
the impression of
Yeah.
thriftiness, but the Camry was like the mid-level one that every average American wanted to buy.
Right, I can
But
take my
this is
kids
still-
to soccer and go out to dinner later. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But we're not talking.
full circle. We're coming back to the first Japanese car that was produced. So
Yeah.
you have to think of what the Japanese thought of Americans.
Oh, that's a pretty good point.
Minivan?
It's a good perspective. I don't know if that's gonna help you answer it.
I'd be sick if it was a Toyota.
Can I get a
Oh,
little
that'd be
hint?
way sick.
No.
Maybe? Was
Do
it
you want? All right, yeah.
I,
Well,
I know
I'll ask
three
it.
mutual friends of ours that have owned one.
I'll string you along. Also, it's not a Toyota.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and hit you with that right
It's a
now.
Honda Accord.
Yes. Bing.
Boom.
Very
That's
nice,
fair.
Tanner. Yeah.
As soon as you
it's
said
the
three
same-
friends, I was like Nick, Kyle, and I don't know who else. but-
Oh, India,
That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
The,
Oh,
yeah.
like,
Yep.
my first second guess on that, but I could have sworn it was Toyota that built the first factory here.
Pretty sure Nick has a Civic. So
Has?
Or
they might have
had.
had the first. Well, that's not. I don't know.
you have an Accord. Dang.
All right. Is it your turn or my turn?
I don't remember.
All right. How much
Okay.
horsepower is it? Wait. How
Much
horse
power
did
the
first
Porsche
911
have?
got a
I like how you took the whole 911. Yeah.
What's Logan's guess?
I know. I was
'Cause
like, as I said it, I was like, that was too much.
Yeah.
That was far too much. I should have taken 9.
The first 911, we're talking early, when, like, 250cc motorcycles was like, you're a madman, you're gonna kill yourself. I'm gonna say, like, 60 horsepower.
it's way more than that.
I don't know, man.
And
Not way more, but it's like
Dude, it's like 75. It's so much more.
So
Dude, for the 60s? Oh, yeah, it's more.
Compared to 60, come on.
Well, but you think about the weight in those cars, they're like, you get, thin metal and luck.
good luck.
Yeah.
Logan,
And a prayer.
you've been in my bug.
Uh-huh.
They made
I haven't been in an ancient Porsche, though.
but
Were they
They
the same
had-
company then?
no.
Oh, okay.
They had more engine capacity overall. They had the overall engine design was focused more on performance. And it had 2 more cylinders with the same size carburetors as my bug.
So, do you know what year the first 911 was produced?
63 or 64.
And your bug had how much horsepower?
53.
Oh, shit. Okay,
I'm going
getting low.
82.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logan, to give
Oh.
you the exact year, it came out in 1964. Was the
And
first
we
introduction.
you guys should do individual guesses, and we are going to do Price is Right rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Caroline.
What is it?
$1, Bob.
82?
Don't you $1 me, you bitch.
I
Swear, I will
I'm
not
gonna
spay you or my
go-
pets.
I'm gonna go with 98.
Somewhere around 130?
I'm going to say 115.
This is actually crazy,
Exciting.
Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah.
you nailed it right on the
dot.
ding, 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 ding.
130.
Yay! Wow, that was crazy.
That
I was
was
gonna
so
shoot-
exciting.
I was going to shoot lower until I heard that, and then I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
I'm median that.
Wow.
That's nuts.
Wait, what's that number again?
130 horsepower at
130.
6,100 RPM.
Yeah,
Wow.
6,100
In a
RPM.
flat
It's
6,
really-
right?
Wow.
That's really not
Yeah.
that amazing.
Top speed of
Can you imagine how
130.
exciting that would have been?
Yeah.
How much horsepower does my 1990 Toyota Corolla have?
Like
Probably
70.
about 80 or 90.
So that is a shocking number.
My bug makes, best guesstimate, about 130 to 140 horsepower.
That's
Dang.
terrifying.
Hmm.
That's
So,
cool.
that to put that in perspective, that Porsche, which weighs more than my bug, has roughly the same horsepower as my small
I can go
little
really
Volkswagen.
fast down a hill.
with,
I can go really
with the wind
fast
behind
up
you.
it.
I can go really fast off a cliff.
All right, here's the most difficult one. I feel like it might be the easiest. It really depends. Wolfie?
Auto.
Drifting? No, we're not doing this again.
Okay.
We're not doing this.
I thought
This
you
is-
guys were going autoerotic.
Asphyxiation.
I'm creating a new video, and it's called Autoerotic Asphyxiation. And it's just having sex with a bunch of girls on cars. Big booty girls. All right. So this, the hardest question is,
Quote unquote.
auto drifting harks back to competitions in the toge areas of Japan. What does toge mean?
Too gay?
Was
Toge.
he the emperor or is that Toji?
You thinking of Tokyo Drift? The
Tokyo?
are you thinking of DK?
What was the name
I
of it
am
again?
thinking of Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Fucking Donkey Kong.
I don't know.
Drift competitions in the toge areas of Japan.
Areas or era?
Areas.
Areas.
Yeah, well, fuck.
Toge
Locations.
So, yeah.
It's a
I don't
location.
know this because I'm not a weeaboo.
Could you give me
I'm-
that question again? I was stuck on era talking about like
Oh,
Rulers.
times.
Oh, yeah.
Auto drifting harks back to competition in the toge areas of Japan. Areas. Location.
got it.
What does toge mean?
I'm gonna guess it has something to do with like mountainous or like forested.
I was going to
Yeah,
say
that-
forest.
What about Togepi?
Whoa.
That's
Yeah.
Mm,
I feel like there's just a lot of I feel like there's just a lot of forest areas in Japan.
Yeah. That's really what, but I mean, like, what
I
else
wanna
are you
say,
gonna
like,
guess?
I feel like the word
hilly
for mountain is
mountain
different
area
in Japanese though.
more than that.
Yummy.
Does
Anybody else want to?
I feel like if you guys were as obsessive about Tokyo Drift as I am, you would have immediately been able to guess this.
No way.
'Cause
Like
it's-
Fast and Furious Tokyo
Yeah.
Drift?
Yeah.
Yep.
What?
The
Yep.
thing isn't referenced exactly, but
It's a base.
initial drifting competitions are referenced in its.
Initial D.
Well, since none of us sleeps with a body pillow of Vin Diesel's muscly pectorals.
First of all, it's not
Okay.
Vin Diesel in that movie, asshole.
Yeah.
He's in that movie.
He's
He's
in
in
the
the end.
last scene. I'm so sorry. I'm getting emotional. I'm so sorry.
When people mention Tokyo Drift, I get fired up. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you
What is
guys?
it then? Yeah.
Toge's mountainous passes.
Oh!
So you
Yeah.
guys were basically
Guess who is sorta right?
Yeah, collectively, you guys were basically right. In a way, each of you were right, except for Caroline. I'm sorry.
It wasn't even close.
It doesn't matter.
You know what? I tried. I was going historical, so not even mad about it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as far as I understand it, drifting was. This might just be some fucking anime bullshit, by the way. But as far as I understand it, drifting was sort of like started by this guy who was like on a like food delivery route and was like driving up and down this mountain all the time.
No.
No.
That's the
Might-
myth. That's the legend.
No.
But that's
That's
a
the
legend.
another one.
plot to Initial D. Go on.
Yeah. That's where I heard it.
No, but so
No, this guy, he was like, so, okay, I have another one that might be a lie, but I may have been lied to
Yeah.
to cover my own ass. I think it started when, like, this guy was racing, and he was, like, so much faster than other people, he just started, like, screwing around, basically, and, you know, drifting around corners, which was
'Cause he
way
could.
slower, but it was more fun. But he would, like, still win races.
you know what car he was driving?
No.
It was a Nissan Skyline.
And
Back in like the
Yeah,
it was
dude.
late 60s, early
R32.
70s.
Oh,
The
yeah, no, the
Skylines
Hakasuka.
Yeah, they were so much faster than the competition in Japanese, I guess, touring car racing that one of the drivers was just like, I'm kind of bored with winning all the time, so I'm going to slow myself down and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Kichi
That's
Suchi
right.
was
Glad I
his name,
redeemed
yeah.
myself.
That's correct, yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely correct.
Kitsutsu.
It's
Yeah.
we have
It's really,
It's-
really a cool story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool as hell. You know what his favorite car to drive still is? A Toyota AE86 Corolla.
Yeah.
wow.
They're super good for drifting.
Yep.
Super.
And
And,
they're like kind of slow too.
Yes.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
right.
is
It really
cool.
pushes
Like-
you as a driver.
Yeah.
no, yeah. He also appeared in Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift as one of the
Yeah.
fishermen, yeah.
I remember that.
Which
He was
is
just
like-
like,
Really?
Oh yeah, where he's like,
Sickest
"Oh, my
cameo.
grandma drifts
Yeah.
better than me," or
Really?
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
did not
Remember
know
that?
Yeah, well,
That's so.
that
cool.
movie's full of Easter eggs,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down to do a
That's
whole
pretty cool.
podcast just going, watching that movie through and through and pointing at shit
Yeah.
and yelling about it, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good, yeah.
That was delightful.
Okay, gang.
We're gonna move on to a CarTalk-esque, hopefully not trademarked, style of stories where we're basically gonna tell either our worst, funniest, most entertaining car stories that we have. And we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with Logan. Unless Wolfie, do you have one?
Well, no, I just want to say that if CarTalk isn't copyrighted, I call copyright onto that.
Yeah, we
Go ahead,
Dibs.
yeah.
Dibs.
Logan, why don't you tell us about your most interesting, worst car story?
So, on the record, I was told I wouldn't be starting, but
Mm. You were lied
on
to.
the record.
I
Off the record, fuck you, Logan. You're doing it.
Yeah,
Back
wait.
on the record, we're so happy to have Logan here.
On the record, Logan, I just have one thing. Hold on a second.
Ah,
Oh,
it's
very
delightful.
nice. Yeah.
It's
That's a good
delightful.
It was crisp.
The crisp.
So this harkens back way back to my first car, one car ago. It's been such an adventure since then. My 1949 Chevy Styleline Deluxe. I actually bought that car because I was still on my 250cc Yamaha through winters as well, and I was starting to get tired of riding a motorcycle in the snow in Colorado.
I could only imagine.
Yeah.
It's not so bad if you're well bundled. Which, quick side note, I only later discovered the battery tender harness that I put on my battery I could also attach heated gear to. Never knew that until I
Wait,
sold
you
that
could
bike.
you could have like jackets
Yeah.
hooked up to your battery,
Not even
warming
just
you?
jackets.
Yep.
We're talking socks, pants,
Oh
jackets.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
wow.
Everything. thing.
Where did you find this?
My
On
dad
the
has
internet?
My dad has
What?
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
No, that's. I knew about heated gear, but I thought that I couldn't have it because I don't have like an accessory port, right? But this
Yeah.
little harness that you hook up to your battery for a battery tender is a coax connection, and you can put an adapter in there for heated gear.
Oh my
All
god.
this time, I'm riding in literally like 20-degree and less weather on a motorcycle. Had no idea that I could do that. I was a little upset when I found out. But yeah, anyway, so I bought this 1949 Chevy as a winter beater. As a winter beater. It was a pretty unique decision. I told the guy that I was buying it from, and he gave me this look like, have you fucking lost your mind? And I had, but the point was, I needed like a windshield and a roof and 4 wheels instead of 2. And it really was a lot better getting through the winter in that vehicle than on a motorcycle. It was a little bit less of a hassle too. I still had to bundle up a lot because the heater didn't work. Nothing really worked. I mean,
The headlights worked.
the headlights worked beautifully. It had little blue sapphires in the taillights, which looked really cool.
Wow.
That was another one that pulled a lot of poon. It was a real cool car. It didn't really. I got my current girlfriend when I was driving that car, so that's something. That was
God, that's been a long time.
Yeah.
it was,
Holy
That's
shit.
worthy of mentioning.
I think
But-
That was a long
It's like,
time.
what,
ago.
2 years ago?
Going on 4 years ago.
Gee,
Wow.
I think I say 2
Yeah.
years every time, and I'm always blown away when you say 4.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what?
75 years? Are you kidding
75
me?
years ago.
Whoa.
All right, but anyway, I guess I'll fast forward a little bit. So I drove that car through the winter, and it was tough. But I didn't know all the kind of quirks of driving an older car. My grandpa really came in handy there. But I drove this thing to work every day. I was driving downtown. If you guys are
Wait,
familiar
I'm
with
just gonna back up
Colorado.
really quick. This is your first car, right?
Car,
Because
yeah.
you had the Vespa and the scooter,
Yeah.
and then you had your motorcycle.
And
Then this is your first car.
Yeah, third vehicle I've ever purchased was a
And-
car.
An actual car you could sit inside of.
Yeah.
Fast forward.
Yeah, and it was a 3 on the tree too. It's like an H pattern transmission on the column, kind of like some modern automatic cars. There was a lot to learn about that car. It was fantastic, but also very difficult. But yeah, I drove this thing every day in the winter, no heater, just bundled up, hard as hell. I was still smoking at that time too. I kind of feel bad about smoking in that car.
Yeah, it was rough.
And I was working in downtown Denver in, I guess they're calling it Lodo now, at a place called the Ice House Tavern. And I wasn't living too far from there at the time. It was just a few miles away. So I wasn't too worried about it, right? It's just like, yeah, maybe 2-3 miles to work every day, like this
not that bad.
60-odd-year-old car.
It's
can
not that
handle it.
bad.
But yeah, so like on a modern car, you have an electric fan on your radiator, and it comes on when it needs to. In an old car, the fan it's attached to the motor. It just goes all the time. Which, when it's negative 10 degrees out.
Do you know when that stopped happening? Like, do you know when the first electric radiator came in?
More trivia, goddammit.
I honestly am just curious. I mean, I can look it up
I
while
wanna
you're
say-
talking.
I would
So.
say it started in the 80s with front-wheel drive cars.
I would also say 80s,
Okay.
possibly 70s. but
And then
I
what
think
year
it
was your car again?
49.
49.
49.
I keep forgetting, and we
Yeah.
have to come back to the fact that
It
this
was
is a fucking, like, for 60
It
year
was a
old car?
64-year-old car. when it
64-year-old
crashed.
car.
Yeah, and you were going to say 2 years, weren't you?
No. No, this is a 2-year-old car, man.
So
Driving to work.
I had driven in like the snow and everything, and it was a real good time because it was rear wheel drive, obviously, and drifting around was just
A blast.
it was cool.
Just
It was really cool.
Quick side note on that. Logan and I used to go drifting in our cars really late at night. So it was dark out, the snow was falling, and everything was silent. And we'd be in these big empty parking lots with like minimal light. And watching this big Chevy do these big lazy donuts with just snow curling off of the rear fenders is one of the coolest things I have ever seen.
I love the way you describe that, lazy donuts, because that's exactly
Yeah,
what it was. Because you're just rear wheel, like just pulling it around.
It wouldn't spin on an axis around its front tires. It would just do these big, like 40, 50, 60 foot radius circles.
Yeah.
And it for all the world looked like old black and white NASCAR footage.
Which it certainly helped as well that it had the 235 cubic inch straight six swapped into it instead of the 216.
That's cool.
It was still slow, but
it was still slow compared to any car made now. But
what does 216 translate to? Like 2 liters?
It's like
it's a lot bigger than that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe the 235 was about 4 liters actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang.
It's like a pretty
bad.
big 6.
Yeah.
I think a 216 is like
bigger than my car now.
3.4 yeah, and it was a big motor.
Yeah.
It
Heavy.
had one carburetor.
Yeah. One little
for all
working
4
hard.
liters of
Yeah.
it. It was fun.
Anyway.
So yeah, driving this thing through the winter, something that my grandpa told me about is it's a good idea to put some cardboard in front of your radiator in the depths of winter. This was after my little story. I was driving home from work one night. Now, mind you, I was working closing shift in a kitchen at a bar. My kitchen closed at 1 a.m., and if I wasn't out of there by 2, I'd get in trouble. So I was getting out of there real late. And when you're talking depths of winter in Colorado, you like really, really sub-zero Fahrenheit temperatures. And so I got off of work one night. I got in my car, started up no problem. The thing was pretty darn good at starting. Drove out of the little parking garage that charged me $10 fucking to park for my job, where I made not that much in a night. I mean, I did, but it sucked. And I started driving home. I got like maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, just outside of downtown now, and smoke starts filling the cabin.
And you're by yourself.
You're in there.
Yeah,
I'm
you
by
are
myself. It's 2 a.m. Nobody is alive right now.
Is it filtering it through the vents?
It's just all of a sudden
It's
I'm
just
noticing
coming in.
it's foggy in the cabin. And I know it's not the windshield.
What does it smell like? Is it like
Musty. Because
Musty?
everything in my car
geez.
smelled musty.
musty,
Okay.
but not like heavy on like gasoline or oil
It's
or
like
like
if you
exhaust.
took all of your oldest, dirtiest socks and boiled them on the stove. And then just hung your head over that boiling pot of dirty
Just let it
socks.
seep into your pores a little
Yeah.
bit.
Wow, yeah.
Which basically means that something was coming through the motor, but also through the carpets.
That's fucking awful.
Yeah. And it just started getting thicker and thicker, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, nobody is awake right now. It is far past the time where
I am
any
alone.
reasonable person would want to be alive. I think it was about -6.
It was one of the coldest nights in my memory. It was well below -6. It was like edging on 10 below. It was
Jesus.
unnaturally cold.
I think it actually got down to about -12 that night.
Yeah, it was brutally cold.
And mind you, that's Fahrenheit. That's like -40 in Celsius. Not really, but it was very cold.
Somewhat rough guess.
So I realized that my car was overheating, which is weird, right? Because I just started it up, and I was just driving down the street, and the temperature gauge started to go up, and it just kept going. It didn't stop. Normally, it gets up to 10 and stops, right? But it just kept going, and that's when the smoke started to fill up the cabin and everything. So I just give up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna blow this thing up if I actually try to make it home. So I pull over on a snowy hill just outside of Denver at 2 a.m. with a dead car, wearing the fucking clothes on my back. Like, I don't have shit, and it's -10. Like, I thought I could die. That was a moment where I was not sure that I was gonna make it out. And I called Andrew, and Andrew was awake. God bless him.
God bless him.
Because I was also working nights at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was how you guys were for a long time.
So
That was
The
bad.
Knight Brothers.
that really worked out for me. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
And begrudgingly, he decided that he would help me out and bring over a jug of water to refill my radiator, and hopefully I could make it the rest of the way home. And
Because you're living, like, what, 2 miles outside of Denver?
I think so, about that. I haven't measured it in a
Like,
long
over
time.
to Wheat Ridge, right?
At the time, it was actually Edgewater. I was
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that
that's
was
not
when he was living
bad.
on my couch.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. It was a good time.
But also keep in mind, the only car I had was my Bug.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
just a recipe for disaster
Yeah.
with you two.
So he drove his
working late nights.
yeah, he drove his 1967 Beetle to come help my 1949 Chevy
Nice.
because of interesting decisions.
The Bug made it beautifully.
It did,
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
way. Time. Not a single issue.
Did you end up refilling the radiator?
We refilled the radiator.
Was it fine?
I drove all the way back. Now, almost all the way back, my steering wheel started to unscrew. So I was trying to go around corners. I have to like push fucking hard on it, just very carefully twist. And I was so over my life at that point. I'm like, God, please kill me.
Whenever you're
over it.
ready, I'm
Yeah.
here. Bring it on.
So my car almost killed me, and then it was just like, you can't drive home. You think you could just get away with this?
Yeah,
And
right.
it just wanted me to not steer anymore, which is a really weird feeling when you're turning the steering wheel and it just spins.
That's
And that car
terrifying.
doesn't
pretty
move.
horrifying.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's horrifying.
It was tough.
I completely forgot about that part of the story. I
Yeah.
totally admit to.
So did you die on the way home?
Yes.
Whoa.
Some
And
say
we
I'm
are
still
talking
driving.
to a ghost.
Some say you're still haunting podcasts
Beautiful.
to this day.
No, I made it, and it. I think I actually sold that car. No, I sold it like the following spring.
Yeah, you had that car for almost a year.
It was a good time. I
we-
miss it.
I mean, in 1949,
That car was
49.
that's insane. That's how many miles did you buy it on?
Oh,
No
the
idea.
speedometer didn't work. If I didn't already mention it, the trunk didn't open. The speedometer didn't work. There was at least one huge hole in the floor.
At least one. At least one.
The brakes would stop me.
Technically.
Sometimes.
I
How-
did have to replace.
What was the
tires.
story from the guy that you bought it from?
His name was Rod. He had a long mustache, and he liked classic cars.
Last name's Stewart.
Where did
Oh.
he?
No, it is true actually. His name is.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
We did
But
not
I'm-
meet Rod Stewart that night.
I still like casual acquaintances with Rod, and he still remembers Logan and selling him that car. Really nice guy. I think he pulled it out of a field, or maybe he bought it from the guy who pulled it out of a field. Rod got it running, and he kind of intended on driving it, but then he decided he'd rather spend money on his other projects, which were a couple of other 49 Chevys for him and his wife.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane that guy liked old cars that much that he would spend that much time fixing them up. I mean, pulling any car from a field and fixing it to running is that's time consuming enough.
Yeah, but there's something about cars from that era that just speaks to a certain type of person.
That's true. I mean, they're not. I'm trying to think of the 69 that Wolfie and I had.
Because 49 is like NASCAR, proto NASCAR
Yeah.
era, right?
The 69, I mean, it was the 48, 49 model years of American cars, with the exception of, Ford was still kind of there after the war ended, because nobody developed anything commercially
Mm-hmm.
for 5 or 6 years. They were all focusing on the war effort. So in 46 and 47, the new cars you could buy were the same designs you could buy in the 30s, almost completely unchanged with a couple of different trim pieces.
Interesting.
So then in
like 48 and 49, the big 3 American automakers and a couple of the smaller ones that were still around really started advancing their designs, both just from a visual design standpoint and from a technology standpoint. And it's kind of cool to watch the evolution of cars from the early, like the late 30s, early 40s, morphing into these modern-looking kind of one box shape instead of having like separate pontoon fenders.
Yeah.
Within the space of just a couple of years.
How was it finding parts for that car? Or did you ever have to?
It was pretty easy thanks to a company, God bless them, Spiegels.
Spiegels?
Recently
They are now
closed.
out of business, yeah.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Bit of a bummer.
If I had a hat on, I would take it off.
Yeah.
Or just shot.
In
Logan,
honor.
so would you like to take off your hat, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay,
In
cool.
honor.
That's now they feel respected.
And
Go
then-
on.
Carry on.
So, I may have forgotten to mention during that story why the car overheated in the first place. The radiator froze. Because the fan was just going away, sucking in that negative 10 degree air, freezing all of the rated to like a negative 32 degrees coolant.
Wow.
Yeah, so the radiator froze, all the coolant that was inside of the motor overheated, and then I damn near killed myself.
Neat.
Delightful. Thank you, Logan. That was wonderful. Andrew, would you... Oh, wait. Do we decide on the order? It's Tanner. Tanner's
Okay.
next. Then it's
Yeah,
Andrew.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and make it a little brief. I've got 2. So the car I've had for 6 years. One of my favorite mishaps with it, which I've had only a couple, was
what kind of car is it?
it's a 93 Subaru Legacy. There are a dime a dozen out here, but I've had this one long enough that it's really built a connection with me.
And
How
it's
many-
forest green. It's nice.
Yeah.
How many
it's
miles did you buy?
It had
was like
210 maybe, and now I'm
It
at
wasn't
like,
even 210. It was like 207.
okay, so I'm almost at 270 now.
Nice.
Insane.
So I was hanging out at Caroline's house up in Evergreen, about 30 miles outside of Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier that month, I'd gotten in my first accident. I rear-ended someone and had to put a bunch of fucking new lights and re-bend some stuff in my car.
Not just someone. It was a Jeep. Do you remember what kind of Jeep it was?
It was a Jeep Patriot.
Yeah, it was. Fucking America.
Yeah.
Fucking America.
I slid right up under him. He had no damage. Really chill guy. He was like, "Oh, my first accident was 16 and I was 17." So he was like, "Oh, you're totally beating me. Good job."
Good job.
But so, okay, I'm driving down from the mountains in Evergreen, and all of a sudden I start to see my temperature gauge go up. Logan reminded me, and I was like, "Oh, crap. I probably cracked my radiator and now it's spewing." And I'm 17. I'm an idiot, and I'm like, fucking 20 miles away from home, I can make that. Sure enough, I literally, and I'd gotten to the point where I could just drop my car in neutral, go down a hill, turn my key off, deal with, no power brakes, no power steering, and just fucking roll it. Sure enough, barely had to go up enough hills on my way to my mom's house closer to downtown Denver, to make it. I didn't see my temperature gauge go up that much. Next day, went a bunch of coolant, dumped that in until I had the time to get a new radiator.
Did you put a radiator in that car?
Yeah, I had a radiator in there.
I very vaguely remember that story.
I think you were in college.
I think I probably was.
And then most recently, the saddest story I have about that car is me and my brother were driving to our grandma's house to pick up her 1970 bus to take it on a road trip. That's a whole thing.
It's a 1970 VW Westphalia camper bus. It's
With the pop-up topper?
Yep.
Yeah. Really, really bitchin' car. But we're driving my car to her house to grab that and leave my car at my grandma's house. And I'm getting on the highway, put the clutch in, just snaps to the floor, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And, pull over.
Snaps completely off?
No. The clutch pedal just slips to the floor and has no pushback. So I'm like, what the fuck? What is this? We get over and Andrew's like, oh shit, clutch is gone. Okay, we can do this. And pretty much what you do is, if your clutch has fucked up and you can no longer use it, you leave your car in gear and you start it and it'll lurch, and you just have to give it gas as it lurches forward. And then you slam shift it, which is without the clutch going from first to second.
Oh my
Which,
God.
if you time it right, it'll go into gear. But
that's
if you
so
don't,
awful.
If you don't, you have to grind through it until it pushes into gear.
Oh,
And then every
I'm
stoplight, you just turn your car off, throw it in neutral, throw it back into first, and then turn the car on and the light.
How far did you do that?
It was like a couple of miles.
Yeah, like 5 miles or so.
It was really fun doing that, getting onto the interstate.
Yeah.
I imagine that's what it's like the first time you ever drive like a manual car. That's how terrifying it is. You're like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Just having no idea, grinding through it.
Yeah.
So
rough.
We get back from our 2-week trip in this 1970 Volkswagen bus, which had no problems. And, given Andrew is a very competent Volkswagen mechanic and tuned it up before we left and, changed some things as we were going just to keep it running well, the car had no problems. But I also kind of think in part that was my Subaru taking a big bite for us.
Yeah.
Taking the karmic bite, if you will. So we get back and we're like, okay, fuck it. Let's just drive it like that to my brother's shop, who, Andrew works at a Subaru-specific shop. And so I'm in my car. We're getting it there, and I'm kind of thinking, like, I've had this car for 6 years. It's never given me any trouble. And, like, right now I'm putting this thing through hell, like, slam shifting it. And we finally get to the shop, and I just break down. I just start fucking bawling, man. I felt so bad for my car. Like, I felt like I hurt myself a little bit in doing that. So yeah, that's one of my breakdown stories.
Oh man, no, that is true though, because like anytime I like stall my car or anything, like I'm like, oh my god, I'm sorry, because like it's like that horrific like full lurch forward, like you're like just everything, like you just feel how terrible it was for the car, and you're just like, oh, I'm sorry, like
It's almost like you don't think about how fragile old people are until you see one fall.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my god, like,
no,
oh Jesus Christ, just everything crumbling as you just but yeah, no, that's oh god, I can't even like I'm imagining that right now and I hate it. I hate it so much.
It was rough.
In any car that sounds terrible.
Yeah. Tanner's little car took it like a champ, man. I love that.
And it's still outside today.
Yeah. That car is such a champ.
Subarus, man. I stand by Subarus for the rest of my life.
My boss's little sister drives their dad's old car, which is a 96 Legacy wagon. 315,000 miles. Original engine, original transmission.
Wow.
That car.
When did they start? When was the year that they made the engine that like always needed the head gaskets replaced? Because that was my year. Was the
2.5 like they all have head gasket issues. It's just
it's because of the Boxer engine, but it's just insane to me that it's I guess original engine can still have the head gaskets replaced, but
but it's never actually been rebuilt. The 2.2s are way less notorious for head gasket issues to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
The twin cam 2.5s were pretty bad on that.
Yeah. What's your horrific car story?
Well, I've got a sort of long one and then a really quick one. I guess I'll start with the long one. When I turned 18, my best friend Peter and I took my 89 Toyota pickup on a mountain road trip.
Does this pickup have a name by chance?
His name was Phineas, and Phineas was the biggest pile of fucking bolts I have ever encountered in my life.
But that truck was rad.
That truck was rad. I loved that thing to no end.
It was also a
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was. Had a lot of fun in that truck. But for my 18th birthday, we decided to go camping for a couple days in the mountains. Maybe do some four-wheeling and drink what little beer our teenage selves could get our hands on. So the first night, we drive to somewhere outside of Gunnison. I want to say up on the Taylor River,
but
I don't think that's right.
6 hours away from Denver?
It's
5.
At Phineas speed, it's close to 6 hours. That truck is by far and away the slowest vehicle I've ever owned. A stock '67 Volkswagen would walk away from that thing every time.
How many horsepower did Phineas have?
Supposedly 110, but I'm guessing about 30. That truck had...
Was it lifted?
No.
That's how it came stock?
Yeah.
It was really tall.
That's
Yeah.
how four-wheel drives came. Yeah.
It was a good-looking truck.
It was.
So...
Any asshole hipster in fucking Denver today would kill to have that fucking truck.
I don't know, man. That thing was rough. Like, underneath, that thing was...
Well, I mean,
great
you guys
shape.
drove it hard. As your teenage selves, I remember you guys driving that thing
we got
fucking
wrecked
hard.
from a family friend who got a DUI hitting a fence with it.
So it didn't have the
Nice.
best upbringing either.
Yeah, no, that truck
Hitting
had
a
a rough
fence.
life to begin with. And then I started learning how to do burnouts and smoke weed. And...
You're a real cool guy.
So, you know, we go on this trip, and we're, like, trying to take it off jumps and crap in the backwoods. So then after our second night out, we were trying to get over Mosquito Pass,
Mhm.
which is from Leadville, Colorado to Alma, Colorado, the highest city and town in the state of Colorado, respectively.
Pretty sure Leadville's the highest city in America.
Alma
Side
means
note.
soul in Spanish.
It's what?
Alma means soul.
Fun facts. Andrew,
Oh.
carry on. there's your
thank you.
tidbits.
We are going up over this, like, 13,000 plus foot, to be honest, hiking trail that Jeeps and trucks can somehow make it up. And we're at about 11:05. We've been out for a while. And I suddenly glance at the temperature gauge and see that it's almost pegged. And we're like, oh shit, what the fuck? So we pull over to the side of the trail and pop the hood and start poking around. And there's a little plastic piece that goes on the back side of the radiator. That's the fan shroud. That the fan kind of, it helps direct air through the radiator and past the fan. That had broken off and jammed the fan.
Oh.
So I, in my infinite wisdom, just rip it off. I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw it in the back of the truck and figure it out when we get home. So, get that. We kind of hang out a while, let the engine cool down.
How far were you over the pass?
Nowhere near the top.
No. So you're still on the Leadville side?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, you know, we let it cool off, start it up, we keep going. About a quarter mile later, we see smoke and flames coming out from under the hood.
Smoke and flames.
Yeah. Pop the hood, rip it open, dump what little water we had left on it, and we realized that we didn't have any sort of battery tie down whatsoever.
Whoa.
That
We
was
have
an
puppy
interesting
dogs.
dog
We
noise.
have
Yeah.
puppy dogs in the room.
You got
So,
scared.
you know, we get the fire out, and we realize the battery had just bounced off of where it sat, and the positive terminal had hit the engine block and just caught like half the wiring harness on fire. So we just wrapped every bit of exposed burnt wire we could with electrical tape, took about 50 feet of tent rope, and just like tried to tie the battery in as hard as we could. And then we kept going up the pass. Long story short, we get right over the top. We're just starting to come down from like, again, 13,000 feet. It's one of the highest places I've ever been that isn't the peak of a 14er. And we get blocked by 3 feet of snow in July.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there was a 3 foot deep snow drift blocking the pass. So we back up and
With your electrical and tent rope tied battery car.
we back up about a quarter to a half a mile to the very peak where there's kind of a turnaround lookout area because, I mean, it's one of the highest navigable passes in the state.
Yeah.
It's brutal, but it's incredibly pretty. And we get back down, we get to Leadville, we go from Leadville to I-70 and go home because we're exhausted. All we've eaten the
I
past
can't
2
believe
days
your
is-
car still. I cannot believe
Yeah.
that that's where that story went. I thought for sure that it shit out and you just let it drift the whole way down.
Nope.
And then you died on top of a
Yeah, I
mountain or
thought,
something.
I thought it was going somewhere way worse than that.
No, we
You just-
made it home. We'd eaten nothing but bacon for 2 days.
Teenagers.
It sounds like you really came out on top of the
Yeah.
story. Yeah, this wasn't a hardship.
It was,
yeah.
It was an interesting one. My short one is the first time I took my bug out of my neighborhood, like 4.5 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing.
And this, how old's your bug?
67.
67.
My dad bought the car in 1989, drove it for about 10 years, and then decided instead of dealing with this 40-year-old car, he'd rather spend the time raising me and my brother, which is it's fine.
Good trade-off. Honestly,
So then
I respect that trade-off.
One day
I
I
don't think it worked out.
Yeah.
one day I wrecked my Outback, and I had a wrecked Outback Phineas, which needed a timing chain, a transmission,
I'm sure it needed a lot.
Yeah, the whole everything in the fuel injection system gone through.
that truck needed work. And then my wrecked Subaru, and I'm like, which do I sell to fix up the other one? And then I remember, yeah, my dad's got that old Bug. What about that? So we get it running that summer and have some issues. And on a Bug where the distributor goes into the crankcase, there's like a little piece of pressed steel that goes around the distributor that holds it in place. And then that, on the other end, attaches to a little stud with a little nut holding it down to keep the distributor from popping out. I didn't have a nut on that. So we're driving around, and we crest this hill, and Logan was with me. The distributor popped out. And it was by far and away the loudest noise and brightest flash I have ever heard. Because it had enough momentum to fire at least once right when there was either an intake or an exhaust valve wide open. And this hugely combustible air-fuel mixture somewhere in there. So it just blasted this flame through either the carburetor and air filter or the exhaust.
Oh my
right
God.
as we crest this hill. And it sounds like an M80 going off in between our eardrums.
Oh my
Yeah, like when he says an M80 going off in between your eardrums, I was going to say it was like a professional grade firework going off in the trunk.
Yeah.
And it like lit up the whole neighborhood too. And that was my first thing, like, I saw the flash, and then my brain was like, that was a loud fucking pop. And I was like, what pop? I'm deaf. It was crazy.
Oh, we're in Red Dawn. Someone shot us.
Yeah, holy shit.
That was unbelievably loud.
Oh my God. What, did you just come over the hill and just drive down it?
No, we coasted down it because the distributor was like halfway out. So I had to like jerry-rig it in place to get home.
Oh man.
That poor little Bug, I put that car through a lot in like the first 6 months because I had no idea what I was doing.
You were doing, yeah.
And then I got a job at a Volkswagen shop having no idea what I was doing.
And now you know what you're doing, though.
Ish.
A little bit, just
Yeah,
a smidge.
More so than none.
I love how all of those stories tied together with overheating cars. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that every single part had an aspect of like my car was overheating and this is why.
It's stressful, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
Start seeing that needle climb.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say
like-
I look at like my oil temperature and I always look for like right below medium, and I'm like, if it goes above, I'm gonna start freaking out. I'm gonna start freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
So, moral of these stories, 2 morals. Know what you're doing. Like, have even a vague idea of, like, actually what's going on with your engine, with your car. And 2, pay attention.
Yeah, always be looking at that temperature gauge.
Don't not be
Well,
smart.
It's not even temperature gauge. Pay attention to
just understand
the
how
condition
cars
of your
operate.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know what your
check
cars
everything
are.
over.
Yeah. It's well, and I mean, some people are like, well, and it's actually funny that we talked about like Honda Accords earlier. Like, one of our friends like definitely never gave it an oil change for like 10 to 15,000 miles. Never really checked the oil at all during that time, and just like kind of ran it dry of oil. And the Honda Accord was fine. It just kept running. And it was like, oh, it's okay. I'm fine. It's okay. It's just
My liver's failing, but it's fine.
Yeah, okay, just keep going. Just keep going. It's fine. And I mean, but it's crazy, like, what cars will go through when you realize, like, how much better they are when they run properly.
Yeah.
Especially older cars, which you're like, they need a lot of parts and a lot of work, but
Need a lot of love, just like an old dog.
just like an old pup.
Yeah, I got a overheating related story. Can I do stories? I got like 2 or 3 quick ones. First one, overheating story. One time, in my Acura Integra, I was like driving it, and then a bunch of steam started like spilling out from under my hood, and I was like, "Oh, that's bad." And I was like, "But I'm right next to this like a mechanic dude that I really appreciate, and he's like a cool guy." So like I drifted essentially down this hill and just like pull off into the thing. And then the dude opens up the hood to, like, look at it, and then there's just, like, a pea stream of coolant shooting out the front of it, because there's a crack in my radiator, and it was just perched, like, it sprayed him a little bit when he opened it, and he's like, whoa, and he stepped aside, and then he laughed, and then he took a picture of it, and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So that was always, like...
Such a cute little crack.
Yeah. The first time I was in an accident, I rear-ended someone, but... I was on my moped.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I was like driving along and I saw my dad and I was like, "Hi, Dad! Hey!" And then I looked back and it was like a red light and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I hurt my finger.
And Dad still felt bad to this day. He's like, I caused that accident. Like,
my own son.
Yeah.
You
hurt your finger?
Yeah, and then I guess probably just the sketchiest thing I did ever was I had to change the tire on the 69 Valiant, and the jack for it like didn't go high enough. So I got a flat tire. I was gonna take the wheel off, but to do it, I essentially jacked it up, and then I slipped a car iron, like a tire iron, underneath it.
Yeah.
And then I jacked it down, so it was just resting on like 3 wheels and a tire iron. And then I put a bunch of wood blocks underneath the jack and then jacked it up again. And it was like the sketchiest thing I ever did, because it was definitely like afterwards, like the thing wasn't straight. Like it had definitely started to warp from like me holding the weight of a car underneath this like tire iron. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was so many things sketchy about that.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I owned it, like the only way you could get it to start was like taking off the like cap for the air intake and then spraying
starter fluid
on it. And that was the only way it was gonna start.
My favorite part about that car was the horn would
Yeah.
the horn would
I was going to
randomly
ask if we
honk.
were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And how Wolfie, I forget, it was like, I think Ophi was in the back, I was in the front, Wolfie's driving, and the entire, like, senior and junior class of We Were Just High School is going into a sushi restaurant, like, across the street, and we're at a red light, and the horn is just like, what?
Yeah.
Wolfie's just looking at the steering wheel, looks up at them, raises his hand, shrugs his shoulder, I don't know, just like a full blast horn, and they're all staring at us, terrible. Like what?
And then later on in that car's life, it started to have like weird like electrical issues. Well, before that, we would like you could take a screwdriver and then put it across the starter solenoid, and it would like rev. Like you could like arc.
Oh, weird.
So you could like reach into the engine bay and like start it, and if the key was in the right place, it would just start the car. So that was super weird. And then eventually, like the door frame had metal on it, and then the steering wheel had metal on it, and the horn was like getting fucked up. So if you rested your arm on the door, it would like arc across your arm and like shock you that way. It's like, so whenever you let your guard down and you're just driving casually, it would like yeah.
Oh Oh, another fun thing about that car is if you turn too hard to the left, the passenger door would swing open. So you'd have to be while you're driving, reach over, pull the door.
That actually happened to me the one time I rode.
Yeah.
Some brew came out. It was terrifying. We were turning off of fucking Federal onto a side street at probably too fast.
Yeah.
Way too fast.
And then sitting there in a bench seat with no seat
Only lap belts. Only lap belts.
Oh, yeah.
And the door that I'm like leaning on flies open.
Yeah. It's like, oh shit, yeah.
It's just delightful. I loved that car.
Probably my favorite time that the door ever swung open randomly without people expecting it. I was with Nick. I think it was Nick's birthday party, and at some point someone had dared him to hold a whole raw egg in his mouth. And he's like, I have a big mouth, I can do it. And he was just resting an egg in there, and then we were like driving, and we turned to like Wadsworth, and his door swung open, and he's like, ah! And I was like, oh no, and then the door shut, and I was like, cool, it's chill, and he was like freaking out still, and I was like, oh, and I pulled over, and he got out of the car and spit out a whole raw egg. With shell, yeah.
Yeah, with shell.
Yeah. That was...
Fight or flight, panic, crush the egg.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, like the door shut, and I was like, chill, like the problem is solved. Yeah. Of like 6 people in the car or whatever.
And another great part about that car is that it had a fabulous aftermarket stereo in it.
Yeah.
Like it bumped. It bumped hard.
That was so cool.
That was a good fucking car.
Oh man, I missed that car.
Would you guys like to play the door knocker game?
What's the door knocker game?
It's a lot of fun. If you want, I can do Wolfie first, or Wolfie can do the game on my head first, or you guys can start, but it's totally up to you. If you want an example, go. Anybody?
Yeah, let's get an example.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first? Do you want to?
You know, that doesn't matter. Hit me. I got the head.
Well, yeah, Wolfie has the thickest head of anybody.
I'm pretty sure Tanner's got him beat. Yeah.
You guys could hit heads together and find out.
I don't want to.
Okay, all right. Are we ready?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay, well, you have to explain what's happening.
Okay, so I'm going to knock on Wolfie's head, and we're going to make sure it's hard, because Wolfie has a thick skull, so we have to find people's comfort zones first. Then I'm going to ask him, we have 3 separate categories, and he's going to have to name a certain number of those things. Examples, categories.
I just did 1 category.
You did 1 category? Is it going to be hard?
I'll do 2, yeah.
Wolfie's going to do 1 planned category, 1 riffing category, and I have 3 planned, and...
3 for 3? We're going 3 of each?
3, 5. So you just deal with it. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Is that hard enough?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 red fruits.
Strawberries, pomegranates, and purple cabbage. Or no, purple kale. There it is.
3 guitar brands. Wait, is that a really fruit?
I'm not sure that counts as purple.
Oh, you said fruit, huh? How about apples? Fiji apples.
All right, 3 guitar brands.
Gibson, Epiphone, Fender, and G&L.
5 vocabulary words used with musicians.
What does that mean? What?
Vocabulary words.
Any words.
Any words having musician, pedal, rock star, I don't know. Drumstick and piano key. Ow.
It's getting harder. One more.
I said piano key.
Yeah, you got him.
Oh, that was good. It always gets slower and harder towards the end. Just like, say it!
I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I could hear the knocking on his head from across the room.
I can hear it too.
Wolfie has quite a thick skull as well as a...
You really got to knock so I can feel it.
Yeah, that's what started... Yeah, that's what started the whole thing where you have to start knocking until they say, okay, that's hard enough. All right.
Who wants to... Very empty and resonant.
Yeah.
It's a lot of room in there,
Get me. Get this
All right.
I'll knock on you, Tanner, and then we'll go in a line down there.
Yeah.
Don't look at the categories ahead of time, okay?
Yeah, right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to say them, or do you want to knock and I'll say them? What?
I could say them.
Okay.
You ready, Tanner? I'm going to start knocking. How does that feel?
There you
you
go.
Feeling that? Okay. Name 3 shades of green.
Of green?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because you said green.
Green.
Olive, drab,
super
Celtic,
Whoa.
and Kelly Green.
fashion
Oh.
designer.
Name 3 chocolate cereals.
Cocoa Puffs, Count Chocula, not
Love it.
harder,
Not
and
harder.
Reese's Puffs.
Name 5.
Dude, you keep
Name car makers. 3 car makers. I'll do harder then. Fine.
Okay, Isuzu, Daihatsu,
What the fuck?
and
Name 5. You have to do 5 now.
Oh, not
you gotta do
name
3
5?
more. You have 3 more because that was fucking nuts.
Geo.
Harder.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
Okay. Jeez. This is scary, kind of.
Suzuki.
Yeah, one more.
Um,
What do I drive?
Opal.
Whoa.
Nice.
I see you talk like a
See what I
challenge.
mean?
That
yeah.
was
Got the
insane.
hardest skull on
That was
planet.
Yeah, that was cool.
insane.
Yeah, it did
That's
not
scary.
hurt at all.
That's what it's like to hit me, I guess. Yeah.
I'm honestly trying to think of like.
Ow,
Suzuki.
Yeah.
no, I don't like that.
Ow. It's like you got to get in the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, you're up.
You can knock on you like a door. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Where
insane.
you hit him. Everyone gets hit and everyone gets to hit.
Yeah, no, this is good because this is like sibling rivalry right here.
I will.
Yeah, it's going down right now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get you a little hard.
Are you ready?
No.
Name 3 breweries.
Black Sky, Black Shirt, Liquid Mechanics.
Nice.
3 kinds of cookies.
Chocolate chip. I've had a lot of concussions, I hope you know.
3 cookies.
Snickerdoodle
1 more.
and sugar.
3 Samuel L. Jackson movies.
Pulp Fiction, Star Wars, Return of the Sith, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Nice. That was unexpected. I always go for snakes on a plane. That's always my go-to.
I would have gone with Kingsman myself.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Is he gonna be okay? You just shot him in the face. No.
Logan, we have a very special one for you.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh, Triple X 1 and 3 and 2 too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never
Who
seen
could
those.
forget Black Snake Moan?
The classic.
Oh, yeah.
Black
That's
Snake
a good
Moon.
one.
Every
Start
movie.
naming
It's
any
on a plane.
movie and it would work out.
She already
Speaking of
said it.
snake movies,
She said
I'm
it.
already on it.
well, fuck me.
Alright.
then.
Are you ready?
No.
I'm not, but I'm ready, I guess.
Whenever Andrew starts knocking.
Dude, if he knocks me out, fight him, okay?
All right.
Knock respectfully.
Is that hard enough?
Go up. Okay, harder. Okay,
Oh
go.
wow.
Okay. Name the entire Fast and the Furious franchise.
1
movies.
through 1 through 8.
1 through 8.
Fuck! Okay, Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, I don't remember the 4th one.
Oh,
Keep going.
That's hard.
super
Keep going.
easy.
Keep going.
It's the same as the first one.
Fast and...
Yeah,
Not-
Fast and Furious.
No, it's The Fast and The Furious.
That's the first one, and the 4th one is
It's the
Fast and
first.
Furious.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
now you're on 5.
And then 5, fuck me.
Skip to 6.
Shit, I'm having a hard time
Or
here.
7 or
So
8.
I know there's Furious 7.
My arm is getting
What was before
tired.
that? Well, then punch slower.
You guys are both. Ow! Don't
Quite
punch
what I wanted.
harder. Yeah,
Yeah, I said slower, not harder.
ladies. All right, you still need 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Dude.
If you
You
can.
got 7.
Oh yeah, you
I
got
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
5,
got
6,
number 7.
8.
7 and 5 are pretty similar, name wise.
7 and 5 are pretty similar. So
Furious 7.
it's not Furious 5.
No, it's so close.
This is
What's the other F word in the title?
Fast?
Yeah.
Is it Fast
Fast 5.
Furious 5?
No.
Keep knocking. Keep knocking.
And
Okay,
so-
so
Fast and Furious 5, and then I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark here and say Fast and Furious 6.
that's correct. Yeah.
Oh!
What's up? There we
is that the
go.
last one? Right.
Oh yeah, 8.
Oh, oh fuck. It's
It's dumb.
It's really dumb.
It's
Fast 8.
No.
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 Not that dumb.
No, there's
Fast and the
'cause there's
Furious 7 2 Electric Boogaloo.
That's the one. That's what it is.
What?
Is it the squeakle?
No. It's a pun involving 8.
Oh.
F8.
F8? Fate of
Fate
the
of the
Furious!
Furious! Yay!
That's
Yay.
remembered it.
It's
Yeah.
only because you said that you cried at the end of the Fast 7 or
So
whatever.
hard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was
That was
bawling.
originally planned before you said that, and then after you said that, I was like, oh, it's definitely not.
Literally,
Yeah.
Julia was comforting me through the end of that movie.
Dude, it's
Like,
brutal.
it's gonna be okay.
It is
They
brutal.
fuck you up.
Julia's my girlfriend, by the way.
Just
Oh,
To
we're
clar-
throwing
to
your
clarify.
girlfriend in our faces all the time,
Wait,
right?
Yeah.
Are we wrapping this up?
no, we got one more.
We got to do Daisy. Logan, would you like to hit Daisy in the head?
Sounds good to me.
Here,
Fuck.
Logan,
Okay.
I have something to help you with that.
No, not that.
Andrew just pulled out a sword.
Made
It's a
him-
real sword. It's
It's
very
a
long and
very
sharp.
real sword.
It is not fists.
Describing what we're doing. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, ready, Daisy?
Ready.
Name 5 PC applications.
PC applications: Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Paint.
One more.
One more. Fuck. Excel.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh wait, is that keep going?
Oh, I forgot
that
what the
it?
other one was going to be. Logan, would you like to come up with a topic? A topic?
You started hitting hard.
Now that I've been hit in the head so many times,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not so sure.
All right. Pizza topics. Go.
How many?
5.
Pepperoni, olives, onions, pepperoni. You gotta hit harder. Romano tomatoes.
All right.
Roma tomatoes. That's
Oh, there we go. Penalty hit. It's fine.
Ray Romano tomatoes.
Yeah, Ray Romano
Everybody
tomatoes.
hates Ray.
They go, hey!
Hey.
All right.
I'm Mark
That's our
Ruffalo.
podcast.
Thank you
We
for
had a whole
joining
lot.
us.
Yeah, thank you so much. We had a whole lot of fun. Thank you to our guests.
Closing thoughts, anybody?
I want to say thank you to our sponsors.
Yeah, we're sponsored by
All of our
MeUndies.
sponsors.
Hopefully, eventually. And yeah,
I want to say thank you to our hosts, because this was a good time and it was a last
Cheers.
minute thing.
yeah.
It was a
Cheers.
real good time.
I also want to say
Look
thank
at
you.
this, listen to all of us hitting our bottles and cans together. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Just clap your hands.
I also want to say
Clap your
fuck you
hands.
guys because I'm out of beer.
Oh yeah, we need to get
That's
more
okay.
beer. All right.
Thank you so much, and
Goodbye
goodbye. Goodbye forever.
Farewell.